Looking northwestward towards Moose Jaw, 28.5 miles away. This line was laid through here in 1911, 1912 by Canadian Northern, Radville to Moose Jaw. Kind of a distant extension of their literary line. Looking north up Range Road 240 west of the 2nd, that's Township Road 134 up there. Miles beyond what you can see, this is the bed of Glacial Lake Regina, the Regina Plains. Dark brown clay mostly with gumbo. Hard to work, heavy soil in places. Very productive. Pretty flat, but a few little potholes. It is later on Saturday evening of August 19th, 2017, and this is Hearne, Saskatchewan. Looking southeast down what Canadian National called its Avonlea sub. Avonlea itself is exactly 7 rail miles that way. The head of the sub is down in Radville. Looking south down the Range Road. Over there to the southwest are the dirt hills, the eastern edge of the Missouri Coteau, stagnant ice moraine consisting largely of dark brown loam rising some 220 meters above the Regina Plains. Can see for miles from up there. Trevor Harriott, in his book River in a Dry Land, notes that the hills were a favorite haunt of the Métis buffalo hunters in the 1860s and 1870s. Came out from a Red River to hunt bison on the plain. The Clayback Brick Factory is right at the northern tip of the hills over there. In fact, that's the steeple of the big Catholic church in the village, the community of Clayback. More of the Missouri Coteau yonder, trending to the northwest, the 3rd Prairie Stop. Sundown in summertime Saskatchewan. Even though Canadian Pacific completed its Sioux line through Drinkwater 13 miles north of here in 1893, it took 8 years for the first newcomers to settle on these tracts of Treaty 4 lands. Soil was just too heavy for early implements. Hugh and Joe Patterson, father and son, were the first to arrive in 1901, and soon Rogers, Baldwins, Mintos, Moores, Daniels, McCrae, Clarks, Thompsons, Peaches, Websters in the neighborhood. I think the elevators stood right in here. Reliance Grain and Saskatchewan Co-op were the first up in 1912, followed by Alberta Pacific in 1914. It was closed or burned in 1920, and the pool closed the other two in 1980, and they're long gone. Canadian Northern dropped a freight passenger shelter off somewhere in here at mile 59.2 in 1913, replaced it in 1917 with a 4th class station, which it sold off in 1975. Don't really know what else was at Hearne. Presumably a school, maybe a church. Very likely a store. M.L. Pierce opened the post office of Hearne on January the 15th, 1913. It was closed on January the 4th, 1988, after Mrs. Thelma T. Thompson resigned as postmistress the previous November. There was an earlier rural post office called Wilhelm, established by Robert Spicer on January the 15th, 1909. It closed on July 25th, 1912 after Robert resigned. Happy birds in Hearne. Hearne was never incorporated as a village. It may not even have been organized as a hamlet. A ward of the rural municipality of Redburn, number 130, headquartered in Rollo. Well, this is confusing. It's now Monday, April 27th, 2015. How is that possible? Could this be the infamous lost tin of film that is the bane of every producer's existence? Never mind that. Looking northwest along the access road out of Hearne. Hearne sits right on the edge of the moraine that make up the dirt hills behind us to the southwest. Beyond the rail line there is the famous Regina Plains, with the city of Regina itself about 60 kilometers out that way. This line since 1989 has been owned by Southern Rail's Co-op, Sora, headquartered in Avonlea. The line used to run out to Perry, but they've since cut back to Truax. I mentioned the Canadian Northern built this line just before the Great War. Canadian Northern, of course, became the cornerstone of Canadian National Railways in 1917. And that's Avonlea down there, southeast. So, springtime in Saskatchewan. It looks like it's about the end of March, not the end of April. Spring is so late this year. Trees aren't even leafed out at all. Looks to be a pretty good hatch of barn bugs, though. That moaning that you can occasionally hear overhead is the sound of the 8-foot diameter heart cell propellers attached to the front of Harvard 2 aircraft stationed at Canadian Forces Base Moose Jaw, also known as 15 Wing Moose Jaw, 40 kilometers to the northwest of us up the rail line. The aircraft are Raytheon Beechcraft CT-156 Harvard 2s, powered by Pratt & Whitney Canada PQ6 turbofans, turbojets. Might be flown by Canadian pilots or perhaps by pilots with a NATO flying training program run out of the Moose Jaw Air Base. Stationed at Moose Jaw as well is the 431 Air Demonstration Squadron, the Snowbirds, jetting their Canadair CT-114 Tudor trainers through the atmosphere in the neighborhood here. I don't think there's any out today. They might not mix well with the Harvards. Perhaps named for Samuel Hearne, the Hudson Bay Company explorer and factor, who died in 1792. Hearne, Saskatchewan.